Okay. Sorry about that, everyone. A little bit of audio trouble there, but we're going to go ahead and get started. Appreciate your patience on that, and we do apologize for those of you who had intended on joining the 10 o'clock webinar this morning. We had this trouble and more, but it looks like we're all good to go now. Um, so, so for starters, my name is Scott Brown. I'm the product co-owner for the ACMS project. And I'm joined here today with Katie Rodriguez and Brendan Barnett, who are going to help support me through the training and help answer any questions that they might be able to answer. To begin with, I think some of you are familiar with what ACMS is. For those of you who aren't, it's a case management tool for the State Hearings Division to handle our state hearings process. What is new for the advocate users, for you guys, is that you now have the ability to have an account for the agency that you work for and to log in and to manage any appeals that belong to you within the system. That also means that you can get updates to statuses, upload documents, download documents in the case of SOPs, and just kind of keep track of anything that that concerns you, which we're really excited to provide that functionality to you guys. You should see attached in the handout section of the GoToWebinar. I had attached this PowerPoint that I'm going to use to go through the training here. I've heard in the past that some people had trouble grabbing that off of the GoToWebinar interface. So if you do, we will be sending this out afterward, after the training as well. So generally, I'm gonna kind of go along the PowerPoint here. The PowerPoint is really intended to be a reference, a tool for you to be able to use until such time as we get the full user manual training materials created. But this is pretty good. It shows shows really anything you guys should be concerned about and all the functionality that you have right now. So I'll kind of show you what I will be showing you via the PowerPoint, and then we'll jump over into the actual ACMS system, and I'll show you what that looks like. So there is some sort of upfront stuff in the PowerPoint here. I don't want to spend too much time on it. I'm pretty sure most of you are pretty familiar with some of the HIPAA regulations and all of that. Some of that information is just in the front here, so we can get that out of the way. I do want to bring your attention to what's on the screen now. If some of you have already have used this, but if you have questions, go ahead and use that questions box there on the GoToWebinar. We'll be monitoring those throughout the training, and we'll try to answer all the questions that we can answer. If there's anything we can't answer, we'll be sure to answer it afterward via email. So here's that privacy stuff here. So getting into the actual training here, the first thing I want to show you is the home screen and the dashboard cues. So when you visit the ACMS homepage here, you're presented with what looks similar to on the left side of your screen. That's what the login looks like. The advocate users will all be provided with user credentials to log into the system. We'll be adding those to the live system here, I think within the next week or so. So those should go out to you maybe a week or two before the actual go live date, which is September 17th. So this is just the bottom. It's got some links. Many of these links were available still are available on the CDSS website. This looks a little bit different now. That number 3 on the bottom there, we've moved up to be a little more prevalent because we really want people to know about that. So once you've logged in, your dashboard here is fairly clean. Um, Up at the top here, you've got your sort of navigation stuff. It's pretty simple. Really, you'll just be using primarily the home button to get back to the main dashboard, and the tracking inbox just to view claimant and appeal data. But really, most of that you can get to just on the dashboard here. You have currently just two queues. Anything that is an open appeal that belongs to your agency, and anything that was a closed appeal that belonged to your agency. The closed ones should stay on there as long as your agency is not removed as the AR from that appeal. Um, so I'm gonna take a second. I'm gonna run through that just briefly in the system, and then we'll pause just to see if there's any questions so far about that. So I'm gonna log out here just so I can show you this. So again, this is your home screen. Remember I said this looks a little bit different. We've done a couple updates. And we're just going to enter our login information here and sign in. That looks a little bit weird. They might be doing an update to the system right now. This dashboard here should not be showing. But that's just that's what we use internally to search for appeals. Actually, I think I picked the wrong one. That's why it might be showing. Let's try this. That's the one I wanted. There we go. That's better. Okay. So again, you've got your queues over here. You've got your open appeals listed here, and closed appeals listed here. And so really, as far as the dashboard goes, that's about it. I'll get into a little more information about this here in a second. But I did want to take just a quick break to see if there's any questions. And okay, looks like we don't have any just yet. So we'll go back to our PowerPoint here. And then the next thing we're going to look at is the appeal screen. So really, after you log into the system, your primary concern, I think, is going to be with navigating to an appeal and checking status or taking any sort of actions you might want to take on this. So back here on our PowerPoint, from that queue that we saw earlier, to navigate to an appeal, the easiest way to do it is just to click on that case number listed on the queue. That will take you to the main appeal screen. Points of interest here are the claimant's name and case number. This pin here we're using for identification purposes and for our IVR functionality. You will have the ability to take some actions via the IVR and check status via IVR is interactive voice response system. It's our phone system. So you'll be able to call in, check the status of appeals, and take a couple different actions on the appeals. But you'll need this PIN in order to do that. So it functions both as an extra like identity verification and for that IVR. Secondly, the tabs here at the top, we'll get into those in just a few moments. But this main appeal tab shows all the various appeal information. The actions tab is where you'll request any sort of action to be taken on an appeal, such as a postponement or a reopening or a rehearing. The documents tab, this is going to show all documents that are on the appeal. That will include anything that any user has uploaded or that was system generated. So you can get copies of the acknowledgement letters, the scheduling letters, things like that are all going to live there on that tab. And then this hearing tab, I'm not really sure if this will still be here in the production environment, because that information will be displayed here on this hearing date and time, and that'll just let you know the hearing date and time. So the tab isn't very useful for you guys anyway. And then the last thing here is just a quick status. There's two parts to a status in the system. One is the state, which there's only a few main states that it goes through. Things like pending review, pending scheduling, scheduled, heard, closed, kind of a basic flow for the appeals. The second part of it is the status reason, and this is intended to give a little more information about how this appeal got to that state. or what has happened since it's been in that state. So in this case, you can see that it was closed, but there is a claimant requested rehearing that's still pending on this. Once an action is taken on that rehearing, the status reason will close or will change. The appeal state, if it's granted, will go back to an open state. So let's go ahead and take a look at that in the system here. So again, we load our queue. This is the listing of appeals here. And then to navigate one, we just click on the case number. And that brings up our appeal screen. And so up at the top here, we have this sort of information banner. There's not a whole lot of information here. There's no, looks like there's no hearing, even though it's scheduled. I'll have to look into that. But so your basic information is up at the top here. You've got your statuses here, your claimant there, and then some general information below. The responsible agency, in this case Butte County, their preferred language, if they'd like an interpreter, communication preferences, if there's a hearing representative assigned from the county or the agency, and then the AR organization group. This would be you guys. The one that we're using right now is Legal Law Attorneys of California. Just an example one that we created to test the functionality. And just some basic information here. So again, you've got your tabs up at the top here to take actions. You've got your general information here and your status right here. So jumping back over to our PowerPoint here, I think we should probably stop and see if there's some questions. And it looks like so far we don't have any. Oh, maybe we do have one, which is nope. So okay. So the next thing we're going to see is uploading a document. So here we go. So again, we're gonna navigate to that document tab there. And once we get to that tab, this is gonna again display any documents that are currently on the appeal. So anything that's uploaded by a person, there's this system generated column here. This essentially indicates that the document, the acknowledgement letter, the decision, the scheduling letter, these were all created by the system. The decision, the decision that's initially written gets uploaded to the system, but then the system takes that and creates a cover page and turns it into a PDF, and then attaches it to the appeal. So that's why that's showing as a system-generated document, but it is the written decision. So anything that was uploaded by the claimant or the AR or the county or anyone like that will not show up as a system-generated document. So if you wanted to actually view a document, one that's attached here, you can just click on the link right here, and that'll download the document, and then you can view it. If you want to upload your own document, you just click on the New button right here. And that's going to pop you over to this screen here, which is just to enter the details of the document that you want to upload. We'll take a look a little bit at what the categories and the types and whatnot that are available here in a second. But you just fill out the required information. The document name should be somewhat descriptive of the document, but the category and the type are really meant to be sort of that more general categorization. And then the last thing you'll want to do is click the Browse button here and actually select the file that you'd like to upload. Once that's all done, you just hit the Save button, and that's going to add that document to that document tab. Again, we'll go ahead and take a look at what that looks like here in the system. And then after we've done that, we'll stop and see if there's any questions. So once again, we're here on our appeal screen. Up here, we're going to go to this document tab. By the way, you'll notice that when you hover over these, it gives this new document, new action. I'm showing you kind of the long way of doing it, but if you know you just want to upload a document, you can go down here and click on this new document. But for the training, we're going to go ahead and navigate here to the document tab. So again, we can see the system-generated documents here, the acknowledgement letter, the Pub 412, scheduling letter, and then we're going to go ahead and add a new document by clicking on the New button here. And then this familiar looking screen here. So we're just going to choose, so if there's a particular form, I'm not sure what the specific categories there might be, but so primarily you're going to be using claimant documents and submitted by claimant. These are just kind of a general indication to us that this document was uploaded either on behalf of the claimant or by the claimant. If there's something that it doesn't necessarily pertain to that, you can always choose other and additional document here. So we'll just choose a submitted by claimant here. We'll choose a document name, and then we'll go ahead and pick a file. I think we'll just use this test proposed decision document. And then once I've got that, I can enter a description here, just giving more detail or context around the file that I'm uploading. And then I'll click the Save button. And that will go ahead and attach that to our list of documents here. And again, you can see that this is not identified as a system-generated document. So that's really all there is to documents. Not too difficult. This should be a place where you can retrieve anything you want to see, upload anything you need to submit. This is accessible by the judge, by state hearing staff, by the county if it's something they need to see. So all parties will have access to those documents. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up for questions. Give a couple seconds to see if anything comes through. Looks like I got a hand raised here. Oops. Okay, why is marked as exhibits? Yeah, so that actually, so we haven't fully, this is still just the test system, this isn't the production system. So in the production system, that's a field that you wouldn't even see. That just defaults to no for anything that's uploaded by the claimant or the AR. And then in the hearing, the judge will admit that as an exhibit, but it wouldn't happen automatically in the system when a document was uploaded. Sure, yeah. Sorry about that. The question there was why is marked as exhibit set to no? Stephen says that this should be yes. Anything submitted should be automatically marked as an exhibit. And Stephen, I believe that is the case. And it's only that we are leaving it to the judge to mark those as exhibits that he admits into the hearing. It is possible for somebody to upload a document that that doesn't necessarily provide anything for the hearing. And even if that is the case, even if it's true that that would still be admitted as an exhibit, that would be on the judge during the hearing to go ahead and mark as an exhibit. The phone number there is just for our kind of customer service helpline if you have any issues. And that should be specifically for like technical issues for the system, not for like basic understanding of policy or anything like that. Yeah, and there will be an option in the IVR to get directed to like technical help for the ACMS system. Okay, so I think with that, we'll go ahead and proceed. Next up is action requests. So again, we'll take a look at what this looks like in the PowerPoint. So back on our appeals screen here, we're going to be visiting the Action tab. On the Action tab here, similar to a document, we're going to hit the New button for a new action. And then that's going to bring up this screen. The screenshot I have expanded with the options here just so you can see them. But there's really three main parts to this. That is to select the action that you'd like to take, request a withdrawal, reopen a rehearing or postponement of the hearing. Once you've selected that action, you'll choose if you have a document to support the action that you're requesting. You would click Browse and upload that here. And then if you had any additional explanation for the request or for the document itself, you can add those in this box here. And then you would hit Save. And so currently the withdrawal, because it's being submitted by the claimant or the AR, that will just go ahead and withdraw the appeal. The others will create a task which will be reviewed internally and will be either granted or denied. So let's take a look at what that looks like here in the system. So again, let's go back to our main appeal page here. Or even better, let's go ahead and find a new one. So we're going to go back to our dashboard. We're going to take a look at, as soon as this loads here. Okay, we're going to take a look at our list of appeals. Let's go ahead and grab this one here. And we're going to take a look at the Actions tab. So again, Actions tab, new action. And then we will select which action we want to do here. Let's just go with withdrawal. There's a checkbox here. It's kind of invisible. If we had a document to upload for this, we could upload it there. Add a note and click Save. So after we submit this, you should be able to see any previous actions that were requested on this appeal. Believe that's about it for the actions. So the others work essentially the same way. You would just go into the action, pick postponement, rehearing if that was applicable, reopen, choose a document, add a note, hit save. So pretty simple there too. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at some of these questions that came through. Okay. So it sounds like, let's see what we've got here. I think Brendan's answering some of these as we go. So the Action tab is different from the Documents tab. In the Action tab, it's intended for you to make some request for something to happen on the appeal. The Documents tab is just if you're uploading something that the judge has asked for specifically as far as evidence goes, or if you have any sort of supplemental information for the initial hearing request, anything of that nature you'd upload on the Documents tab as opposed to the Action tab. Let's see, request withdrawal. Does that specify withdrawal or conditional withdrawal? Needs to have both options because there's a big difference in how the case proceeds depending on whether it's a conditional or a regular withdrawal. So that's a good question. We do have that functionality being developed right now, and it will be available shortly. It's not totally built out yet, but we had a little bit of complication in trying to get the IVR working properly with that functionality, so it delayed us just a bit. But you are correct, Stephen. There is a big difference there, and the two will be distinct. So rest assured that we did not forget about that. Let's see the next question here. The checkbox is only for withdrawals, not for conditional withdrawals. There must be separate options and separate advisement for withdrawal versus conditional. And yes, that is also true, and is also something that we have planned for when that conditional withdrawal functionality is fully built out. So it looks like that's all the questions for now. So really, as far as system interaction goes, that about does it for actually logging in, keeping track of your appeals, managing them, such as creating postponement requests or withdrawing or anything like that, uploading documents, and so this is really meant to be a tool to help organize that information for you, to give you a single place to take those actions, but that doesn't diminish any other recourse that you had. You can still call us, which I know can be difficult sometimes, but the option is still there. Looks like we did have maybe a couple questions come through. So will there be email notifications when there is a change in a case? Yes. So we did not put email notifications on everything because at least for during the testing period of development, that got to be pretty cumbersome. But we have notifications on certain actions still as it is, and we always have the ability to add notifications to any other actions where that would be desirable. So let's take a look here, see if I can find. Let's try this appeal. I'm going to see if I can show you. Do you mind? I'm going to get a little help from my assistant here. Yeah, well, wouldn't you mind go ahead and pushing this through to release decision, please? I assume that might be Brendan. So we'll just give him a minute here to. Okay, let's see. Oh yes, that's a good point. Let's see what we've got here. So we do have a release decision. Let's try this one. So since this one has a released decision, you can see that decision document here. Let's go ahead and download it. Let's see what we've got here. So we've changed the format a little bit, but for the most part, it's still the same information you're used to seeing. The appeal rights are now kind of a front cover page on the decision, and below that is the familiar cover page and actual decision document that you're used to seeing here. So let's say that you're not happy with that decision. You could request a rehearing by choosing a new action, and from the drop-down selecting request a rehearing. And then from here, same as the others, you just choose your document, add any additional notes, and save. So that appears to be broken at the moment. But so what that does is that creates a task for our rehearing unit to go in and sort of categorize the request and move that to the appropriate unit that's going to be handling that request. Similarly, let's see if we can find so there's a non-appearance here. And so to reopen, we would again do a new action. Choose a reopening request. Select a document. Give a little context there and hit save. All right, and so that should, when we go back here, we can now see that our status reason, even though the appeal is still closed because it hasn't been reviewed yet, you can see that our status reason reflects that a reopen was requested. And that should also be true of the rehearing, as we saw in the slide earlier. I believe that's about all there is to show you right now. Let's go back over here to our PowerPoint. So again, our go live date is September 17th, right around the corner. There will be additional training materials. Some of them are still in development. This document here is attached to the webinar. You can grab it off the handouts section. And also we'll be emailing it out to all the participants of the webinar afterward. We do want to ensure that everybody who uses the system gets as much training as they feel they need. So please keep in mind this email address down here, acms@dss.ca.gov. If you do feel like you could use additional trainings, we're doing two more webinar trainings tomorrow. Those will be at 10 a.m. and 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. Sorry. And also we have in the PowerPoint here, there's a link to our ACMS information website. So you should be able to get updates there on progress, and there's some other valuable information there, such as kind of a glossary of terms and whatnot. So you can find it by just searching CA ACMS on YouTube. And these are categorized by the different trainings and by the different sprints as we developed content. So I will mention that some of the earlier videos are from earlier versions of the application, so some of those might be a little bit outdated. The newer sprints, the later sprints, oops. Oh, I think it just signed me out. The later sprints and the training videos are a lot more recent, if you'd like to check those out. Okay, let's see. There's a couple more questions here. Let me see. Will ACMS communications go directly to the advocate or only to the advocate organization? There was a discussion about that, and I do not know how it came out. So that's a good question. So it's kind of a two-part answer. We are developing the ability to specify multiple contacts on an appeal that need to be notified. So currently, there is the ability to specify just the AR organization, the advocate organization. And if there's like a group email inbox that the organization uses, that's where the email notifications will go right now. As soon as the multiple contacts thing is built out, we would have the ability to specify the specific advocate that's assigned beyond just the organization. And so there we'd be able to specify, for example, Stephen, if you wanted to get directly notified of events on an appeal, we would do it that way. Currently, that's not fully built out just yet. So it's just the organization right now. So I'll give a few more minutes for additional questions. Any idea when that build out will be completed? Yes. So that is actually it's identified as a really high priority addition to the system. So that really should be implemented within a month or so of go live. It's one of the first things that we're building out. So that should happen pretty quickly. Okay. All right. So if that's it for now, please keep in mind that we do have the email inbox here if you think of other questions that you would like answered. Keep this ACMS at dss.ci.gov email in mind. If there's anything you think of after the fact that you'd like clarification on, go ahead and send those questions there. Otherwise, I appreciate you guys joining. Sorry for the mishap this morning. And if any of you would like to kind of see this all again tomorrow, you're more than welcome to join one of the two webinars we have scheduled for tomorrow. Otherwise, we appreciate you joining, and yeah, and we look forward to the system going live. So thank you, everyone.